Well, what is going on? Good evening to all of you. My name is Jamel Tony.
Hey everyone, I'm Lakeisha and welcome to Progressively Becoming. Thank you guys for joining us for another conversation. As always, as you're getting on, make sure you like, comment, and share. And let someone know PB is on now. We are in the building. And every Tuesday, right here at 7 p.m. sharp.
Welcome to all of you on Facebook.
Why
all of you. No, you was concluding.
I didn't get my sharp.
Okay, go ahead. We'll wait.
7 p.m. sharp.
And this is what I deal with on an everyday basis, right? Welcome to all of you on Facebook, those of you on YouTube, those of you that will be listening to the podcast later. If you have not downloaded the podcast, go ahead and do so now. Google, Spotify, Apple Music, and recently iHeartRadio. You can catch everything that we've ever talked about from day one. We will be talking about that. Speaking of day one, would you believe that in a few months, three months, we would have been doing Progressively Becoming for 1 year.
Wow. I can't believe it.
And I remember when we first started and we was literally shaking underneath this table. But we got a little more comfortable prayerfully. And again, we just pray that anything that we say adds value to your life. Progressively Becoming is designed to help you become the individuals, the husbands, the wives, the mother, the father, the entrepreneurs, the pastors, the friends that God has called you to be before you were born. And prayerfully, we can add some value to your life so that you can get to that point. And for the rest of our lives, we will be progressively becoming.
We will be progressively becoming.
So comment, and share.
For the rest of our lives. Yes, we will. Thursday morning devotion, 6 a.m. Make sure you be here. Bring someone, tell someone, tag someone, invite someone. Yeah. Morning devotion is happening this Thursday, 6 a.m. where we will pray with you and for you. Any prayer requests before then, make sure you send it to www.progressivelybecoming.com.
Yeah, put it in the comments, send us an instant message, and we will grab those and we will pray for. We are intentional about prayer. Prayer works. You may not know it works, but let me suggest this to you. You are evidence and living proof that prayer works.
Absolutely.
If you have ever asked God anything through prayer, and perhaps you may not have seen the answer, God does answer prayers. The truth that we are living and alive today is evidence and confirmation that prayer does work. Mm-hmm. We are the result of prayer. Song says, my grandmother prayed for me. Me on their minds took the time and prayed for me. Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Sunday Exchange. Go ahead and catch us on that platform where we dig into God's word, worship and praise. It is a virtual experience like no other. We believe in lifting up the name of Jesus Christ. So again, Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Sunday Exchange at the Place of Exchange Worship Center. Next Friday, we'll be releasing our 15 at 6. Our podcast to invite monthly encouragement next Friday.
Oh, it is next Friday. Wow.
Yeah. The day after Thanksgiving.
The months are going
by the day after Thanksgiving. So hopefully you're not so full that you can go ahead and dine some more with Progressively Becoming. I am excited today.
Oh, yes, you are excited.
Yeah.
Happy Jack Rabbit.
Happy Jack Rabbit.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Y'all don't forget our coat and clothing drive we are doing.
She was calling me something else.
And if you want to donate or if you want to volunteer, just text us at 855-997-3031. Our giveaway will be December 17th in Camden, New Jersey. Will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we are going out and bless that community with coats, clothes, and whatever else we're going to get for that day. I believe it's going to be powerful, awesome, and I'm excited. Also, the Got Vision t-shirts that you all was pressing us for. Y'all missed the sale. It's over. But nonetheless, you still can order. the shirts. You can go to www.progressivelybecoming.com, click on shop, and it will direct you where you can purchase the shirts. The colors are black or white. You can also see some pictures that we posted on there as well with us wearing both colors of the shirt. So it's still time. You can go on and order. But sorry, you missed the 10% off. Yeah. Some of you got it, but some of you didn't. So, but anyway, nonetheless, they are still available to you. So the last couple of weeks we started our series on relationship and the relationship playbook. Last week we discussed boundaries in the relationship. If you missed that conversation, please go back and watch or listen, however you prefer to, look at that episode last week. But you can go back and revisit that conversation. What you guys?
Nothing to say.
Okay. So, as we continue today, we just want to say up front, as always, as we say, it's not our goal that you have to think like us.
Absolutely.
We don't want you to think like us. But we do want you to get thinking. We want you to think.
Absolutely.
And expose you to the idea that the truth may be outside of the way that you typically see things.
Yeah.
So, during this relationship series, please keep that in mind. And if that's not how you want to go about this conversations that we're going to have, maybe this conversation isn't for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we think outside of the box, right? And that's not right. So we believe truth can exist in other places. And that's a whole theological discussion I am willing to have with you. But we have been talking about relationships, and we are beginning our relationships with friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we are extremely excited today that we have guests that are dear to our hearts. They have a place in our hearts that no one else can fill. They mean so much to us. We will allow them to formally introduce themselves. But we are so acquainted with them, and we know that they are going to contribute to tonight's conversation. So here's what I want you to do before we get started. I need you to tag a friend, tag a family member. I need you to tag a couple. Tag them now. Send it to them. Send them the message, because we are going to talk about it today. The threat to our relationships. It is, without further ado, it is the pride of my heart to introduce our first guest to the Progressively Becoming Relationship Playback. Make some noise, throw it in the chat, put your hands up in the air for our first guest. Here they are.
Hello.
What
is
are we even
happening?
on?
Who are you?
Are we on?
I will.
Is
it
introduce to some and present to others? I will introduce to some and present to others. Ty and Cassie Butler. Hello, how you doing?
You guys already know me from the Place of Exchange, so I don't have to introduce myself. But hello, it's Cassie. I'm back.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. So tell everyone a little bit about yourselves before we get started.
First, before we even do that, I just want to, because you mentioned at the top, 3 more months you'll be celebrating a year. So I just wanted to say how proud I am of you guys for embarking on this journey, having a vision that was revealed to you. And, many times you face adversity. You don't know if it's the right move. You get, pushed in different directions. So to see you guys come full circle 3 months shy of a year anniversary, I'm so proud of y'all. And I just wanted to say congratulations. It's been a pleasure watching you. And today is a pleasure to be on your program as a guest.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I'm so nervous.
Thank you so much. We are extremely excited for all of your support, your love, and encouragement. It means the world to us. PB, Cassie, Cass is no stranger to you all. TPOE. She's the lovely face that comes to you every Sunday morning, our director of engagement. They are our son and our daughter who
Yes.
we love dearly, and I'm excited about what they are going to add to this conversation.
Absolutely.
So tell the people, who are you, whatever you want to expose. How many times you go
Right.
to the bathroom every day, talk about it.
All right, so I guess we can just start with how we started off our relationship. We met in high school. We were in 9th grade, and we didn't get together till 10th grade. So we've been together for 12 years now. It's 12 years?
12 years.
12 years. Feels like longer. But yes, we've been together for 12 years. I don't know what kind of information do we have to disclose?
Together for 12 years, married for 3 years now, engaged for 5 years.
No, we were not engaged for 5 years.
Well, I'm saying like 5 years ago we got engaged, I should say. 5 years ago.
Okay, so then you were engaged for 2 years.
Yeah.
The math ain't mathing, but we're gonna go with it.
The math just totally confused me just now. All I know
we
is
got together in
together.
2010, got engaged in 2017, got married in 2019, had a baby in 2021. We're having another baby in December, so things are just
y'all
happening.
busy.
Yeah, things are happening.
Y'all busy.
And make some noise for the butlers. Again, thank y'all so much for joining us. I want to dive into this conversation because I believe it's gonna really help somebody out. Especially since you guys are young, y'all can talk from that perspective. Having been exposed to many things and seen many things and interact with so many different people and cultures. I believe that you guys can really add content to this relationship playback. I want to start off the back. From your perspective, what is the definition of relationships? Off the top, if I was to ask you to define relationships.
I feel like a relationship is a union. I was gonna say between two people, but we've learned that there could be more than one person. There could be more than two people in a relationship, but it's a union or connection developed between one person and another or multiple others. That's my definition of a relationship.
I agree. I don't think I can add on to that.
No, listen, that works. And you guys
But
are
obviously,
married.
there are different like types of relationships. You have friends, you have family members, you have people who you are romantically involved with. But as far as like the overall definition of relationships, that's one that I feel hits home or is most accurate.
And since you all are married, like, what is your definition of marital relationship?
Like in terms of like intimacy and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Like the most important thing for me, like when I think of relationship, is a lot of friendship and just like, yeah, I think the word friendship comes to mind when I think of like marriage. Maybe because we started off as friends, and that's where our foundation comes from. So I think friendship is where I kind of just lean towards, and then obviously you get into being more intimate and stuff, but at the root of it is just really just friendship.
Yeah, the foundation for us was we were friends, but there are a lot of like principles that go into it. So intimacy, respect, unconditional love, and interest, intrigue, continuing to evolve, and prioritizing. So I feel like there's so many different words that come to mind under that umbrella of relationship.
I love what you said when you talked about friendship and evolution.
His favorite word.
Those are the foundations, love, having an interest in each other. Those are also great for and it kind of leads us into the topic of today's conversation. Where we want to kind of center the conversation around relationship threats. Would you just throw that in the comment? Relationship threats. What are a threat? So that we're all on the same page. A threat is an intention to inflict evil, injury, or damage. A threat can also be unintentional, where the intent is not to cause harm, but unfortunately it does. And as the world continues to advance, as we become more technologically savvy, as we introduce ourselves to various cultures, as we continue to mature in advance, not only in our personal lives, but also in the world that we live in. There are many threats to relationships and its unity. There are many threats to the function of our relationships, the value that we put on our relationships at an all-time high. From your perspective, being young, what are some threats that people your age that you have encountered? What are some threats that people encounter in that prevents them from having successful relationships? Not just marriage, but just like overall, what are some threats that you guys can see from your perspective?
So I think it's not just about being young, but it's about when the relationship started. Like we met 16.
Mhm.
So to be 29 now is not just 13 years of knowing each other, but it's like the 13 years where I would argue you experienced the most change and evolution, like from a personality standpoint. You start like we're in high school, so we're nowhere close to who we're gonna become, once we get to adulthood and have kids. I would say like for us, one of the biggest things has been like the ability to evolve without creating like separation between the two of us, if that makes any sense. Because like there's a lot of immaturity that goes on. There's a lot of different behaviors or different ways of thinking that change over the course of 13 years. So I think that that's definitely something that has plagued us that we continue to work on, because it's like, oh, you're not the same person that you were when I met you. Yeah, I was 16. I would hope that I'm not the same person that I was 13 years ago. So I think that's definitely something.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I also think like especially in this day and age, being young and like social media is like another thing. Like you compare yourself to how you see other people and how other relationships are
Yeah.
going, and so you're like, wait, I don't have that in my relationship, or you start comparing, and then at the end of the day, you don't really know what it's like for that other relationship. So I
Right.
think comparison with social media, even your work life, you come out of college, like when we went to college together, and then I left to another school, and then we try to start our lives together, finding a career, and then doing things on your own, like having to pay your own rent, and like little stresses like that. Now having children, and how children can affect your relationship, and now you don't have time for each other. I think there's just so many things, especially being young and having certain mindsets. It's hard to navigate because you're like experiencing it in the moment. But it just there's a lot of threats that I think that we can kind of tackle.
Yeah, I guess from what you just said, it just made me think about like the priorities, like competing priorities. So we have, like you mentioned, you have children, you have friends, you have family, and when you're married or in a relationship and you have kids, like the priorities rearrange the minute the baby comes. So, like communication, like your vacations, your friends, your fun,
Mhm.
your intimate times,
Mhm.
kids take priority. And we can't avoid that reality, but you have to manage the side effects. So, how has that been for you guys, like going from dating to married to kids, prioritizing, because your kids want attention, your child want attention, and then you still a wife, you're still a husband, you have to give that part of the relationship some priority as well. So how have you guys, dealt with that in your relationship? Like
Mhm.
prioritizing as far as family as well. Because everybody wants a piece of you.
Added to that too is also like not just learning all of it, but doing it for the first time. Like becoming a parent for the first time, there are a bunch of challenges because you're learning individually, but you're also learning as a team. But then you have like competing ways of how you go about things, and instincts start to kick in. And one parent wants to do it this way, the other parent wants to do it that way, and you both like feel like your way is the best. So there's a lot that comes with it. But I feel like honestly, you do have to embrace the struggle because it's like the best teaching. Like you hear, experience is the best teacher,
Mhm.
and that's for me that was integral because in order for us to learn what we like and what we don't like, there needed to be a struggle. Like we needed to experience that because we know that, like, you say things when you're angry that's very hurtful, and then you learn, going forward, maybe I shouldn't say that because I know how it pierced you. And I feel like just going through that type of experience where there's like trials and tribulations and all of the adversity, you then can come talk about it, have a conversation, and have it be like a healthy conversation where we're both allowed to express how we feel and not just draw from, you made me feel this way because of what you said, or, you made me feel this way because of what you did. You can actually talk from the emotions. Like, yo, that really hurt me. I feel like that, that like the experience factor was important too.
And to kind of add on to that, like I will say this year of having a child has been probably one of the most challenging for our relationship and our marriage. And it's been like a whirlwind of events. I think a lot of it has to do with, as a woman, you go through your hormones and your emotions, and now you have anxiety because you're caring for your child, but you're also a wife. And now you're struggling with body image. And again, with the comparison, like you have to be this perfect cookie cutter wife, and you still have to cook the meals and make sure the house is clean. But you're worried about concerned about your child and making sure that you're putting your child first. There's just so many things that it's like the mental load that you are experiencing that your partner maybe doesn't experience. And you want them to understand where you're coming from, but you don't want to complain, but you're expecting them to just know because that's your partner. And then when they don't read your mind, it's just like, hello, like I thought we were like soulmates, like what's going on here? And so like that like creates a challenge too. And so you start to question, or you maybe have doubts in your mind, like what's going on in this relationship? Like, are we struggling? Are we not? Like, you have those doubts. And like I will be honest and say, like, we have those moments where we're like, yikes, you know what I mean? The big thing is communicating. Like that's like the one thing that if I had to put a word to our relationship that's helped us get to where we are now. I mean, we're not perfect, but communication, because when we first started out, like I will say for myself, I'll speak for myself, my communication was so bad. Like I was the type that if something upset me, I was just like, okay, then we don't have to be together. Bye. I'm done. It's over. You know what I mean? And he was more like, you have to express yourself. And I wasn't used to that. And so I think over the years, I've learned how to be more expressive. Maybe now a little too much expressing to him, but it's God is where we are now. So
yeah, communication is the foundation. And also knowing that, like, even if bleep hits the fan, like let's just be able to make our way back to the couch or find a comfort zone. And I'm using the couch as like as a metaphor, but like finding the comfort zone of how to be expressive and communicative. Like we're not going to get anything accomplished by being angry and cursing each other out. Like nothing good is going to happen. People say nothing good happens at 3 a.m. Nothing good happens while we're both angry. So let's just let's just wait until we can calm down and have some level of resolve. And like I said, at 16, it was a lot harder than it is. That ran out at 29, going on 30.
So you guys mentioned communication, like, and we have heard that said from so many people that communication is the foundation of marriage and of relationship, not just marriage, but relationships. Easier said than done.
For sure.
At what point what is the biggest enemy to communication? Like what prevented you guys when y'all was, Cassie, you was how you was, like what was one of the enemies to you guys or to anyone's advancement in communication? Like what is an enemy to communication?
I think the failure to embrace that it is okay for us to have a difference of opinion.
Okay.
Like I think we at sometimes were very reluctant to accept that. It was you see it my way because this is the correct way. No, you see it my way, this is the correct way. As opposed to us just saying, well, this is how I feel. This is how you feel. Let's find a way to compromise. Compromise became a big thing, like a big word. So I've said like embrace a lot, but it's a lot like embracing we can think differently, we can react differently, but it's about just maintaining that healthy level of communication that is founded on respect and the ability to be empathetic. Like even though I may not get you, or even though I may not agree with you, let me try to empathize with how you're feeling. And we always did we will always do like, what if I did that to you? How would you feel? I'm big on that. That's like one of my like favorite games to play. If she does something that she doesn't feel like it's a big deal, I'm like, well, what if I did that to you? Would it be a big deal?
And then at that point, I'm just like, I'm not trying to have this conveation right now. And
and you know what that's called? That's called checkmate.
But I mean, I think that's good because we had that issue as well, and I think that's just general in relationships. It's like 9 times out of 10, like I want to be right, and what I'm saying is right. It's the correct way. What you think you're saying is right in the correct way, and we butt heads because there's no middle ground. Mm-hmm. But we had to learn also that we see things, me and Jamel see things differently a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. Our brains don't see things the same way. And it's just, I think once you realize that, it makes it better in a sense where you can communicate better in that moment. Mm-hmm. Where we don't have to see things exactly the same. We don't have to agree with this particular thing 100%, but I see what you're saying, you see what I'm saying, and then we could just meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. And one of the things also is the stark reality, and this may hurt some of you that's watching, is that there are some conversations where the truth must be the winner, right? Mm-hmm. And we had to learn that we may be in a argument or a conversation, and it just so happens that the truth in that particular context is coming from her. And so there has to be a level of submission to her truth, because that's the truth. Like, side A versus side B. Where's the truth in that? How do you guys deal with submitting to truth if it comes from the other person?
Oh, this is easy. The truth is always coming from me.
All right. Anyway, so I'm gonna answer this question, and I think with that, it's honestly comes down to like not having pride in your relationship.
Pride. That's it.
Yeah, I think there are times where even if I know he's right about something, but I'm seeing it differently, I want to like fight tooth and nail and say like, no, like you're still wrong. Like I see what you're saying, but that's not really what I'm trying to say. Like just to try and manipulate it so that I can come out on top. And at the end it bites me, but that's just the nature of, I guess, just being human. But I think it comes down to pride where you can admit and say, hey, like you all right, babe, you were right. Like let's just we're on the same page now. Like let's get through it. But pride is definitely like the answer. Also, not having pride.
I would rather be happy than be right sometimes.
Happy wife, happy life.
That's so true.
It ain't worth it, right? It ain't worth it.
Got time to be arguing over there's some things worth arguing about. Not everything.
Right. I agree. Yeah. You gotta pick your battle.
Yeah. If it's like precedent setting where like this could really affect us going forward, because there might be a lot of situations that happen, and I think we need to set like a standard for how we handle this. Yeah, that's worth like arguing about. But if it's something silly like, I don't know, you didn't clean the counter after you finish doing the dishes, there's still water on the counter.
But that's annoying. I've ever spoken to you about it. And I said that in like a wet counter. Like you do the whole job or don't do it at all.
But oftentimes those small, and we've learned those small arguments could be because of a big
fun. But go ahead.
But not to cut you off, but we argue about that too, because when I wash dishes, the water go all over the thing, and it's a big deal for him. I'm like,
it's irritating.
It's I don't know. Moving right along.
Wait, how about this? How about when I can't stand when she makes eggs and she leaves cracked eggs that don't have eggs in them anymore
In the
inside the
container.
carton.
Oh, you want to?
that,
Okay, so we're doing this right now. So we're
that
doing
drives me
this.
crazy.
We can do
it
this.
drives me
We can go
crazy
tit
too.
for tat.
You think you're going in for a full carton of eggs and you got 3 in there.
Oh my
What-
god!
All right, but the
that's-
issue is that he eats like 6 eggs, so the constant like having a crack and then throw it away, crack and throw it, and then have Noah running around and doing his thing. I'm just trying to get things done at this point. I'll clean up the eggshells later. It's not that serious. Like that's
I
not.
thought he was the only one that do that.
No.
Irritating.
Guys, you mentioned something earlier about body image.
Right.
And one of the threats to relationships, marital and relationships in general, is inadequacy, right? In every relationship, one partner will excel in some areas while the other thrives in different areas. How do you deal with the inadequacies that y'all have individually? How do y'all bring it up? Do y'all address them? And what's the proper way of dealing with the inadequacy that y'all may have about yourselves so it doesn't affect the success of the relationship?
For me, like I don't know if you guys know, but I'm like really soft. I'm like emotional. I cry a lot. And so whenever I'm feeling like down and out, like he's very in tune to that. And so he'll be like, "Oh babe, what's wrong?" Or if I can just express to him like I don't feel good about myself. And he's really good about like hyping me up and like making me feel better about it. But I think that just having those conversations and letting them know that you're not in a good place is really helpful, because again, you can easily find yourself comparing yourself to other people and like, wow, like my body doesn't look like that. Maybe he's interested in other people because I just had a baby and I look this kind of way, or I'm not cooking 5 meals a day a week. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different things that you start to think about, and like once you get into that mindset, like you're done. So I think just communicating that and letting them know like, hey, like I'm really not feeling myself. And we need to like talk about it, because I don't want that to like allow my mind to go somewhere else and then create more issues for our relationship.
Right, because that type of thinking, if you don't catch it, it'll take you down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
it really will, and you'll be from A to Z quick. Yeah. Where you're feeling like that.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That is good.
That's good.
You mentioned comparison. Social media. What role, if any, should social media play on relationships? Because a lot of us are, and I'm gonna use this word, a lot of us have an addiction to social media. If you don't, if you're wondering if you're addicted to social media, I want you to do this. Pull out your phones, go to the screen time app, set it on your phone, and see how long you spent on average. How long you spend on average on social media, and then you'll realize if you are an addict or not. Because most addicts don't admit that they are, right? But the screen time, the digital well-being will tell you if you have a problem.
Yeah, we did that over the weekend. We went on there to look at our screen time, and his was much more than mine.
Yeah,
but
really,
I'm
very shocked. I feel like I'm never on Instagram.
Yeah,
it's because the multiple organizations that I'm a part of, right? And I have to look at it. But what role does social media, or should it, play in relationships?
It shouldn't. I don't think it should play a role, but the way that we are set up in society, like it is like the most important thing in the world. Like if you don't have me on your page, that means you single. Like that's just what it is right now. Like, and I'm not speaking just for like our relationship. I'm just speaking in terms of just relationships nowadays. Like if you know someone who's in a relationship and they're not posting a picture of their significant other, you're gonna be quick to assume like, ooh, they broke up or they going through something. Like that's just so to protect that, right? You people post each other, or like they feel like they have to show that they love their partner by posting a picture of them and being all affectionate, when it's like that shouldn't hold any kind of standard, because at home like we're cuddled up, but I don't gotta put that on social media, So
but that's true.
Yeah.
I agree with that, because you see couples, people that's married and they never hardly ever post their significant other, and then your mind think, well, what's going on with that? Like, well, they posting it just themselves. So yeah, I can understand that, because you think like that.
It's so funny because someone just commented,
I don't wanna
"Bree,
be
I
on
don't
the
want to be on the
page.
page." Is that weird?
And that's
It's
also
society.
not
No,
weird.
society would look at that as, "Oh, what you hiding? Why you don't want to be on his page? You don't want people to see y'all together. You don't want people to know y'all together."
Right.
But that's just like the social, like there's like a whole science behind like the social construct of media and like she said, like
Perception, yeah.
what it means versus what it actually means.
She said it's his page.
It's actually toxic. Yeah, yeah. I'm saying it's his page, and if he's not showing you, then people gonna be wondering like how y'all together, but he's not showing you.
Like not claiming you, so you're like, oh, he don't claim her. So it's like then you, as a woman, you're like, oh, I feel like I look stupid right now. Like you don't even claim me on your
But
page.
she's saying that she doesn't care about that.
No, I know.
But I'm saying other people would look at that.
Maybe it's also like an age thing. So like I know now, like I'm saying, I'm not speaking from my perspective. I'm just saying in general, like the younger couples, they feel like they have to put that on social media. I know that there are couples that are older that don't do any of that, and they're content and secure in their relationship. But I just think that nowadays with relationships and social media, that's like a big thing. Like you have to post your person on social media in order for that to be legit.
What's
Some of them be
the
legit, yeah.
what's the trap to hashtag goals?
What's the what?
What's the trap to that? Is there a trap to hashtag goals?
Because you're like creating this like fantasy of what it actually looks like. Like what she said earlier. Just because you don't post someone doesn't mean y'all weren't just laying on the couch and watching a movie, having romance. That doesn't mean that.
And you're posting pictures on vacation and you're like hashtag goals, but it's like no, because we were fighting the entire vacation. So like you know what I mean? Like it's all a matter of perception, and I think that social media has like become an enemy in that sense.
But it's like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like are people feeling the need to fake it because they see other people doing it? Or like so like did that happen before everyone decided like they wanted to, put their relationship and broadcast it for the masses on social media? Or did it just happen on, authentically and over time and it evolved into, oh, look at how happy this person is. Let me show how happy I am.
So how does a person create boundaries? Because we talked about boundaries last week. How does a person create boundaries when it comes to, and this may get intense, right? But I think I can handle it. This may get intense. This may blow up the chat. But how does a relationship handle boundaries when it comes to social media? And I'm gonna ask the question because it's been asked a lot. Should your partner have access to your social media pages and passwords and all of that? How do you handle boundaries when it comes to, or are there boundaries when it comes to relationships, particularly intimate relationships in social media?
I don't need passwords. I'm good.
Yeah, we don't have each other's passwords or anything. Like just for generic, like on the phone, like we know each other's passwords, just to have it. But I don't think that in the sense of having, I don't think that you have to have your password I don't have to have his password for Instagram or Twitter or like any of his social media outlets, because that, I don't know. I just don't see the need for it.
I think it's counterproductive because instead of working hard and efforting to trust a person, you're always going to have that as the backdrop. I don't need to trust you because I can just go check. I can just go, check your phone.
Love it.
Seriously.
Love it.
It's like a steroid. Like, so I feel like it's counterproductive.
Right. But then also on the same note, like when it comes to having boundaries, like if let's just say there was someone who I just didn't feel comfortable being his friend for whatever reason, I'd address it. And like, then we'd have a conversation like, I don't feel comfortable with that. And at the end of the day, like if your wife or your husband doesn't feel comfortable with X, Y, and Z, that should be something that you're putting first and you're respecting that. And if you're going to argue over like, no, I'm not going to delete this person from my social media, then it's like, you're choosing social media over your partner's comfort and like security. And like, that's when you create even more issues. And that's how social media becomes another threat to your relationship. So I think in terms of setting boundaries, just let them know like, hey, I don't feel comfortable with you seeing this or having this type of interaction with this person, or, you know what, like, I mean, let's be real. At the end of the day, we're all human and we have insecurities and we feel uncomfortable with certain things, and address it, set the boundary. I don't like it. We need to fix it. And then you move on. You know what I mean?
Got it. That's
Healthy
good.
dialogue though.
Yeah, healthy. I'm not saying like if you don't delete it now, your life
Yeah,
is over.
healthy.
You know, you just
Because I think it's critical that we set boundaries, that we do not set boundaries out of a place of insecurity,
Right. That's
right?
important.
Because that may create a false boundary for you, whereas it doesn't help the success and the health of that relationship. So certainly making sure that a person is not, you're not setting boundaries out of your own insecurity. But what is what is best for the success and for the health of that relationship? That's when boundaries need to be set. Like that.
So Alicia said, well, Lydia, she said, if you go looking for something, you just might find it. I just wanted to piggyback off of what she said, because I used to think like that. If you go searching for something, you're going to find it. But that was me being insecure. So the insecure me, yeah, I'm going to find something. And what I find is may not necessarily be what I think it is. But I'm being insecure in that moment. I'm not having any confidence in my partner or my relationship. So the one thing that I do find, to me, is going to be huge when it's probably small and nothing, but it's going to reinforce how I'm feeling.
Absolutely.
So of course, it could be something minute. Correct. And it's going to be a whole big thing because I'm looking for something to prove the way I'm feeling. So I'm trying to go and find something that's going to prove and make what I'm feeling true.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen in that moment. So I'm glad you put that, because that was how I used to think about it. Oh, every time you go look for something, you're going to find it. But it depends on your mindset in the moment.
Perception
your mindset also, and if they're good about deleting it.
Your perception definitely becomes your own reality, and you can create a reality based on your perceptions. You guys got together when y'all was young,
mad young,
young, and that's a topic for another conversation. But I wanna ask you, because y'all mentioned it in the beginning. When y'all got together, and you often hear this saying that what is it? That when you have two people coming together, that it shouldn't be a half a person and then another half person coming together to make one. That it should be a complete person and a complete person coming together to be one. Do you agree with that statement? Or
people shouldn't complete you.
People should not complete you.
Right. So pretty much I say, oh, Jamel completes me. Yeah. People used to say, oh, you shouldn't say that someone completes you. Yeah. You know.
You should be whole as yourself.
Oh.
I mean, I feel like Ty completes me, but I still feel like I'm my own person. Like, I think when you're young and you probably feel it in a different way, especially since you're still learning your identity. And so like this person makes you like so happy and you're just, oh, this person completes me. I don't know what I would have done, what I'm going to do without them. So in that sense, when you're young, I can see how like that thinking is a little flawed. But I think with time, especially like going to college, like we didn't really speak about identity much in this conversation, but going to college was something that I feel like I struggled with a lot because we went to the same college initially. And I felt in a way that I was living in his shadow because he was more outgoing and I would kind of just be with him all the time. And so for me, I kind of felt uncomfortable. And I'm like, I feel like I'm living in his shadow. I don't feel like I'm my own person. I'm not as social as he is. I don't make as many friends as he does. And so I'm hanging out with his people. So it got to a point where I felt like I need to be my own person. Like I even sometimes question, maybe we shouldn't be together. I need to like do my own thing. Granted, I ended up going to a different school and transferring. And that kind of allowed me to be my own person, but we still were able to just find, you know, that middle ground where we were still our own person but still feeling as though each other completes the other person.
Mm-hmm. And I think for me, like when I used to always hear that, it was just always put in such a negative light. And I was, you know, me and Jamel was just talking about that, you know, briefly a little bit. And I was like, I don't find where it's like, oh no, he doesn't complete me, because I feel like he does complete me, you know, and, you know, we get our completion from God. We do know that, but God puts people in our lives and in our spaces to help complete us. And I just don't think that should be taken such in a negative light as it was and has been for so long. That, oh no, don't say they complete you, they just compliment you. No, he compliments me, but he also completes my life.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people just go out of their way to sound smart. Oh, the compliment complete. I think also too, like,
But do I complete you?
a person, yes, a
Oh.
person can complete you if we're going full spiritual. Like a person can have been put in your life to complete you because there were certain things that you had to go through either alone or with that person in order to reach your full potential.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
I agree with
That's
that.
good. Tammy Washington McKnight, the rib. Absolutely. 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 God puts Adam to a deep sleep, takes a rib out of him so that she can be his help meet. And the reality is, our partners help us meet not only the needs of the house, but what's amazing is they help us meet our needs for maturity, for growth, for spiritual improvement. And it's important that all of us realize that you had to.
Yeah, before, because I know you're gonna say we gotta go.
No,
but I want to just touch on this. Like, can family become a threat to relationships?
And how do you deal with that?
And if so, how do you deal with that?
That's that's tough because in a way you have something that you're rooting for that now is working against you. So you're rooting for finding someone, and I'm talking about me. You're rooting for finding someone who's family oriented and has, those roots and is grounded in that way. But in trying to discuss issues that are family related, you now want them to be objective, which is tough because it's their family. They love them. So I feel like that creates like a huge impediment when you're talking to someone about their family. It's tough, but I don't.
We've been.
But I think like we have like an understanding that like if I have something to say, this is not a personal attack. This is just I feel things should operate this way as opposed to how it's currently going. And then again, you're gonna be offended regardless because it's natural. But I think that's the best way to go about it, is to try to be as open and honest as possible. And it's also a trust because like we're the same way. We both love our families. We're both like family oriented. So we're sympathetic and understanding of, how the other person operates too, because we feel the same way.
But we've also like are lucky enough that our relationship like is kind of special in a way that like I love my in-laws and like, my in-laws love my husband. So our families, they do things together. And so we've never had a situation where it's like we had to pick and choose our spouse over something our family said or family felt because of the way that how close knit we are. And so I think so we don't really have much experience in that sense, but I guess we've just been lucky. But it goes down to the just being respectful and expressing, like if something's bothering you about something your family member did, just expressing it, but understanding that it's going to come with them maybe feeling some type of way, because at the end of the day, that's your family. Like, what are you talking about my mom for? You know what I mean? So
One thing, and I wouldn't say lucky, I would say blessed.
Right.
But one thing I would say that we are fortunate about, shout out to both of our respective families. We don't really have a lot of people getting into our personal lives.
Right.
Like we, like other couples, go through issues and go through different experiences that are that can be traumatizing emotionally, but they allow us to operate in our own space and they don't really get involved. I think that's like very healthy.
And I think that, well, speaking for me, I think that's something that we've learned, because at some point as a parent, you become the advisor of things, and
you have to know how to transition into
yeah,
that
so and it's like
absolutely
being married or in a relationship, it's like you you look at things differently. So for us, it's like, no, we can't have everybody just all in our business when we going through stuff. So, for you guys, when you're going through things, I know that some things that we're not going to know, that we're not going to, that you're not going to share with us, because that's for you guys personally. And being in a relationship that we're in, we understand that. And I think that's the difference. Like with us and your parents, like we all understand that dynamic. So I think
Yeah.
that's the good thing.
And I also position myself to like protect her, right? Like we just had a terrible argument. The last thing I want to do, and I know that at some point we're gonna get past this. The last thing I want to do is to my parents sully her reputation, because that's not something that you're gonna be able to get over.
Right.
So we just
Like,
had
you'll get over it, but then your parents
like
at the end
once
of the day is gonna be like,
once we
"That's my
get
kid."
past it, which will happen, it's gonna be hard for the family to get past it, because they're experiencing it secondhand, and then all of a sudden their guard is up. Whereas we're used to, in the throes of competition, like we are built up enough to be able to absorb things and go through it and just keep pushing.
I love the wisdom. Like you have to protect your partner against those that will not understand, or those that are just have not reached that place of maturity to understand that people are human. Last question. What's your advice, if any, can you give to someone that's 19 years old, in a committed relationship, thinking about marriage, or they have become engaged? What advice, if any, can you give to someone that is considering marriage at a young age?
Marriage is hard, baby. I'm gonna let you know right now. And I think that's really good advice, because before you get married, or when you're young and you think about marriage, you're like, oh my God, it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna have my husband and it's gonna be great. Once we get married, like, things just start happening, and it's just like, this was not what I thought. I mean, granted, there are many great things in our marriage. I love you, but I'm saying, like, it's not. It's my mom said don't do it. Dang.
Carmen said don't do it.
But just know that it's hard, and know that you can get through it. If you are willing to put in the work. So
It's real talk, real talk.
put in the work.
And look, honestly, you might not make it, and you go have to find somebody else. Because it's hard. I don't know that there are statistics to back this up, but I would gather that getting in a relationship, at 19, like the longevity, those numbers aren't exactly lining up with those who meet later in life, because you haven't experienced your complete maturation. And that's not just emotionally, but like spiritually, if you're into that, physically. So it's gonna be tough, but obviously you try your hardest to overcome it. And then if not, you find somebody else.
Man, that's not a good advice.
We got 4 minutes left, and we have to roll. 3 minutes left, and we gotta go. What's your thought on help?
On who?
On what?
Help. Getting help.
Getting help.
Like having like therapy and counseling for marriage. I honestly, I'm for it. Sometimes you need another person to see things in a neutral light, especially like when you're in a relationship. When you're in a relationship and things are tough and you're stuck in your ways and he's stuck in his ways, you sometimes need that person who is not seeing that each of your perspectives, and they can just kind of be the middle ground. I 100% believe in getting therapy, counseling. I think that that's something that everyone should do. We haven't done it yet, but maybe we should do that. I'm just saying.
Definitely help is necessary. Wise counsel. Reality is we cannot do this on our own. As much as we will all like to admit, there are times that we have to admit that we need help, or I need help, whether it be corporately or individually. We want to, PB wants to thank all of you. Thank you for coming on today. This has been an amazing conversation. Lakeisha, you have something you would like to say?
Yes, I just want to say something before we wrap it up.
It up.
I mean, yes, I agree, but marriage is work. That's what just any relationship.
Yes.
When you want something, you have to put the work into it. But what I can say is through all the work. I think if you're with the person that you are supposed to be with, then it will all work together. What you got?
No, because this is bringing us into another conversation and we got to go. But what happens if you're not with the person you're supposed to be with?
Well, then, like Tyreek said, it ain't gonna work out.
Break up. Just break up.
You ain't gonna work it out, and it ain't gonna be. And for me, I think when Cassie mentioned before, like, before she used to be like, you know what, I'm out, I'm done with it, and we've been there in our marriage where we used to be like, you know what, this is it, I'm done, it's over, I can't. But I think for me, when we got to the mindset where, look, we in this, we love each other. I may not like you all the time, but I love you, and I can't see my future without you, and I really don't want to be without you. I don't want to be divorced. And then once we got into that mindset, well, no matter what we go through, we're not going to say that out our mouths again. And once we did that, things really, really changed for us, because we know that this argument that we done had a blow up on, it ain't the end for us. We going it's going to be bad, but we'll come out of it. We'll be out of it together. And I think that was what it was for us. Like, yeah, we have it's work, but eventually you will get to a point where y'all like riding, and if you're with the right person, you're riding and you're riding steady.
That's good.
Yeah, that's true. We did that, eliminating toxic language and phrases.
I love it.
Yeah, we wrote it in the back of a book and we had to both sign it. But granted, I will say there are times where I'm a little toxic and I throw it at him because I know it's gonna really upset him. But we're working. We're not perfect.
All of us are not. I want to thank you, Ty and Cassie, for coming on.
Yes,
this has been an
you.
absolute joy. Facebook fam, YouTube, can you just throw it in the chat? Thank them for coming on. Where's your hearts? Where's your likes? We pray God's continued success and blessings over your relationship, to your family, to the new one that is on the way.
Yes.
We speak nothing but God's blessings. PB, join us Thursday, 6 a.m. for morning devotions. And next Tuesday, we will continue the Relationship Playbook with friends. You do not want to miss this conversation. Y'all really good.
All right.
Thank you.
You guys got it going on. Hold on, because y'all may be hosting. Y'all may be hosting when we can.
Yes.
We just set the bar high, so all the couples coming after us, they gotta bring
it, right? But thank you guys all for watching. We appreciate you. We love you. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.